my name is Karen Witham-Walsh of Karen's Pots and Glass on YouTube. I have an Etsy store by the same name. Today in the video that I'm going to be shooting for you, it'll be in different parts, I'm going to show you a new kiln venting system that I have for my kiln back here. I have a small Skutt 1018 kiln, and for the past 14 years I have had an undermount Skutt EnvironVent that mounts underneath it. I'll show it to you in a little bit more detail, but it just recently bit the dust. I came down last weekend to fire it, and much to my dismay, it no longer works. So I have invested in a new type of a venting system. It's the Vent-A-Kiln, where it will come down over the top, and it's on a pulley system. It'll go up and down. So I'm going to show you the process from kind of start to finish, and hopefully I can install it okay. I'll probably have the help of someone else besides just me, but it'll be attached to my ceiling, and I think it should be very successful at venting my kiln, maybe even more successful than what I had, because even with my vent on, with the EnvironVent, I would still smell fumes when I would come down to my basement, and I didn't want to work down here at the time when I was firing. So I'll let you know the progress of this after I fire, so it'll be a video in several parts. I hope you find it helpful, and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks. Okay, now I'm going to unbox the Vent-A-Kiln. You can see that the top part, it actually came in a very large second box. It comes in 2 boxes here, and I'll show you what's inside. Okay, so it looks like we have the louvers for the outside, to go on the outside of the building, which I already have some of those in place out there. I probably don't need those. Okay, this says overhead bar, so this is going to be, okay, the bar that's going to hang down from the ceiling. Counterweight, because for the pulley system to work, you have to have a counterweight, and this is pretty heavy here. Oops. So there's the counterweight, and that's going to be what is going to make the pulley system work. Whew. And it looks like my cables and some flanges. Got a little metal sheeting to go around it, and the motor assembly, pulleys, and it also looks like the flexible ducting appears to be down in here as well. Yep. There's some flexible ducting. And that's it. So it's got pulleys too. So that's everything. Hoping there's an instruction manual somewhere, and we'll be in business if I can find that. Okay, well, yesterday I went ahead and I prepped the ceiling to hang my vent, and you can see I actually attached a little board to the ceiling up there. I had to attach it to the actual studs, so if you can see this, the studs were running, I'm sorry, the floor joists, they were running this direction, and I attached it to each of the floor joists. Obviously, you don't want to attach something heavy like this to drywall only. That would be a big danger. And you might see an extra screw hole here and there because I missed the floor joist and had to move it over. You might look at this and say, my goodness, why is that so long? My original intention was I thought I was going to be straddling one floor joist, so I needed to attach the board at either end. But I've reconsidered, because I originally thought that the vent was going to interfere with the light. It will not, so I can actually put it back a little bit farther. So I do have it on here longer than is actually necessary, but the original intention was that I was not going to be using only the back part. It was going to straddle the front. Okay. So now I'd like to talk about putting together the pulley system. the bar that's going to be up above. This was very easy. I did follow the directions, which they were in my box after all. The directions were in there with a little cable. So I'm just following the directions that were in there. The first thing that I did was there is a little tiny pulley which does not move. It's a stationary pulley, but it had a little tiny little bolt and a nut that you put through the middle hole. I went ahead and I did attach this end down here. This is one of the pulleys that will turn, and I'll show you how that works down here on this end. So the next thing that I do is I slide the ceiling bracket on, and then I'm going to take this like U bracket and I put it over the pulley. And again, this is all very clear in the directions. I put the nut through there, and then it's going to come out, or not the nut, the bolt. So let me put the bolt through there, and it will come out to the other side. There we go. Now, I will say that the pieces were missing two small things, but I'll pick that up when I go to the hardware store later. I am supposed to have a 3/8 of an inch locking washer on each of these, but it was missing it. I looked through all my washers that I had, and I had nothing that would fit, unfortunately. So temporarily, I'll put that on there, and again, when I get to the hardware store later today, I will pick that up. So there we go. Now the pulley system is together. Now I'm going to take the braided cable, and the braided cable will go through on the top of these pulleys, and it hooks underneath on the bottom of the stationary pulley. So where the one wire comes off on one end, directly underneath that will be hanging the vent, and where the wire comes off on the other end, directly underneath that will be the counterweight. So now I'm ready to go ahead and attach these two brackets up to the board that I have already attached to the ceiling. They do not give you the hardware to attach it to the ceiling, because they know that people might have all sorts of different types of ceilings, so they let you figure out whatever you need. And I just have some short wood screws to go into my board, and that will attach it to the bracket then. Now that I got my first screw in there, it will be easier to do the others. Now I just have to line that back up. There we go. Alright, just to let you see here, I did actually attach both of these. They are screwed into the board up there, and the cables are running down, and now I'm ready for the next step. Now I'm ready to actually attach the blower unit to the hood, and they provide a small neoprene gasket for this. That's going to go between them. Okay, one aspect of the instructions that were not very clear. It does say to attach the blower assembly to the hood and put a neoprene collar between. And it says to use the supplied nuts and washers. And when I take this off, this actually becomes loose then, and that was my only concern. It doesn't say anything about this becoming a loose piece, so I have to just be careful with that when I go to place it onto the actual hood itself. So I'm going to get these set up, and then I'll place this on top, and it'll be a trick to get the nuts on from underneath, I think. And then the trick is going to be to line this all up. This will be fun. Okay, I got that lined up. So I have the little bolts going through. Now I just need to put the washer and the locking nut underneath. I'm going to start off by putting opposite nuts on. So I put it. Okay, now it should be held in place. Alright, now I'll get the other two on and then I'll tighten this down. Okay, now the blower is firmly attached. I'm going to flip it back over. And the cable is going to go on like that, and I will want the discharge going back to the wall. And here I'm attaching the cable with the clamps. It's very simple. You just tighten both of the nuts around the little tiny bolts. And I did it first on the motor and then on the counterweight. All right, with this securely attached to the counterweight, I'm going to take this off. And there we go. And the counterweight is working. So you can adjust that, make it come up farther. I could make that come up another couple inches if I wanted to. Might be nice. Get it up a few more inches so I don't have to worry about knocking my head. I think I will do that. Okay, my existing environment is still underneath. This is the thing that conked out, and this morning I just disconnected the flexible metal, that flexible ducting, and it was going to this pipe coming out of my wall, but it's quite cold outside right now, and I had cold air coming in, so that's why I just shoved an old cloth that's in there. I'm no longer going to be using that low pipe. I'm going to have to come up here on the wall, which I took off. I had some shelving up here, so I took off a shelf. I'm going to have to cut a hole in up here, and that's where I'm going to put the new ductwork. So because this is, the ductwork is going to be coming off of this, you know, and it's going to be high, it's going to come across the top of my shelving. And I did move a shelf around, so I'll be putting that back when I'm all done. Well, after cutting a hole in my drywall, I am quite disappointed to find out that the pipe does not bend immediately. It goes up farther. It goes up past my ceiling a little bit before it actually starts to bend. So this is going to be a little bit more complicated than I had hoped, considering I have the drywall to contend with. Alright, well, after cutting into the drywall, I discovered that the bend of the pipe is not happening yet, so I'm going to have to cut part of the ceiling. Until I can actually reach it. There we go. Okay, now I can see my bend, so I'm going to have to cut the existing pipe, take out some of the insulation until I can remove that. So now my task is to remove some of my pipe, because up in here it goes out. The outside of my house is just right up there, a couple more inches on. What I did here was I ended up by making a slot. I used one of the cutoff discs. I wore it off off of here, but I used my little Ryobi tool, like a Dremel, and I made a slot. So now I'm going to try to open up that slot and use my tin snips to actually cut the pipe. This pipe I'm not going to be using anymore because, again, this is 4" and I need 5" for the new. So I'm going to just create a little spot there where I can try to get in with my tin snips, and hopefully I can get this cut off. I'll come back. Well, it may be around 30 degrees outside, but at least it's not snowing or raining. So this is the existing vent that I have that the builder put on when we built the house. This is for my environment. I'm taking this off though, and I'm going to put on the one that came with the Vent-A-Kiln. Well, it's not pretty, but I was able to cut through the pipe with my tin snips after I'd made that slot. I went on the outside and I have removed the exterior flange, and now I can take this out. Now, of course, I have a hole to the outside, and I have to cut that a little bit bigger for my 5" duct. And here I'm showing you the tool, which I had my husband use to cut the hole larger in the side of the house. I thought I had a video of it, but apparently I did not. But this is the tool, and he had to enlarge the hole to the 5" for the ducting. And here he's attaching the louvers onto it, and he has caulked, had to take a lot of caulk to put around there to secure it. 5" pipe coming in from the house, and I've started to patch my wall, as you can see there. So my husband and I were thinking that perhaps we should, I should move the pulleys to the other side, because this little bracket right here, this, with all the weight pulling out on this side, it wants to kind of open up. So if the weight were on the other side, we're thinking that it might help to close it. So as I pull this, you can see, I mean, it's working, but the fact that this is tilted, I do find concerning. So I'm going to reverse it and see if it works any better. All right, I'm excited. So when I corrected the pulleys to the opposite side, I put the pulleys on the same side now as the brackets, and that seems to have done the trick. It's no longer listing the way it was. It looks good, and my hood is ready to go, and I'm super excited. So I have to get my flexible hose hooked back up, and I'll be good to go. Alright, I have the hood hooked up with the flexible tubing, and it's working. It's actually really much brighter than I would have expected, which is really quite nice. And it's got a little on-off switch right up here. There we go. And the one thing that I did do, this is only temporary and I'm going to fix this, is I just bunched up the excess. I do need to trim it because I know that won't hold, but I'm waiting until I actually fix. I need to slip a little piece of, I'm going to cut a piece of wood and slip over that, and I wanted to get that fixed before I actually cut off the extra ducting. You don't want to have the ducting excessively long, because you know that's more distance for the fan to blow it. So excited, and I'm ready for my first firing pretty soon here. And one last look. Here is how I finished off the hole in my ceiling with the flexible tubing coming through. And the flexible tubing should be in the shortest manner possible, but I did hook it around my shelving, which probably increased it by a few more inches. But it is great, and there is my pulley system. Again, I hung this diagonally because I was spanning a few different floor joists up above. Okay, so here is the final verdict. I fired my kiln for the first time last evening using my new the Vent-A-Kiln kiln vent. It is by the Vent-A-Kiln Corporation. I love this. I am really ecstatic with its results. It is a huge improvement over what I had with the Vent underneath. With the Vent, I would often smell some fumes, you know, around some critical stages, maybe that, you know, 700-800 degrees, I would start to smell things. I smell nothing at all with this one. Also, this one enabled me to work comfortably in my studio. There was only a very slight increase in room temperature, very, very slight. The Vent, there was a lot of increase. It would be very warm down in my studio. In fact, it would warm up the whole basement. In the Vent, it would be warm enough that my the ceiling and the floor of my kitchen above where the kiln sat would get quite warm. This absolutely managed the temperature much better. I'm really, really pleased with this. I highly recommend it. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me and I'll answer any questions. The installation wasn't that hard. I mean, I was able to do it. I had my husband do a little bit of the cutting on the outside of the house, but other than that, I did everything myself, and I'm very, very pleased with it.